Alastair Smith, CEO of Avacta. Thank you so much for joining us today. Avacta's been on a very remarkable growth journey, and I wondered if you could just share with us, firstly, why you founded Avacta in the first place, and maybe talk a little bit about the key pivots or milestones that have been in your growth journey thus far.
Yeah, of course. Well, Avacta was established a long time ago, but I think the really relevant timeline is since the group acquired the Affimer technology back in 2012, 2013. The potential of the Affimer platform in diagnostics and therapeutics was very clear. And since the acquisition of the IP, we've focused our investment and strategy around the Affimer platform. And initially, we focused on the development of the technology around diagnostics, and then to develop it commercially for diagnostic products and research. And I guess a key moment, a key pivot, as you put it, came when we did the deal with Moderna Therapeutics, and that really catalyzed significant fundraising in 2015 and the initiation of our therapeutic programs. So then I think the next key milestone was the establishment of the collaboration, a partnership we have with Tufts University. And that allowed us to bring in the precision platform into the group. So now both the diagnostics and the therapeutics divisions of the group are in a position to deliver long-term sustainable shareholder value based on those two platforms. I think the future looks very exciting.
And so you've mentioned your two platforms there, Affimer and Precision. So could you just talk me through briefly how those two technologies work?
Yeah, of course. So the Affimer platform is what's called an antibody mimetic. So it's really, if you want a replacement, an alternative to antibodies with applications in diagnostics and therapeutics. So the real benefits of the Affimer platform in those markets are that it's very quick to develop, as we've just demonstrated with coronavirus, I'm sure you'll get on to. Very quick to develop new reagents, very high specificity and affinity of those reagents. It's a very flexible platform, so it can be used in a wide range of different formats and applications. It's stable, robust, it's low cost to manufacture, and of course entirely proprietary to Avacta, which makes the licensing landscape very simple. The Precision platform is somewhat different. It's a targeted activation of chemotherapy in the tumor. So it uses an enzyme that's present in the tumor but not in healthy tissues to activate the chemotherapy. So that means that healthy tissues are spared damage from the chemotherapy, which improves the safety, improves the tolerability for patients, and ultimately through that it improves the outcome for patients.
And so just moving on from that, I mean, so you said at the core of your business is shaping the future of cancer treatment through obviously the therapeutic and the diagnostic platforms. And you also said that the Affimer technology has enabled you to produce reagents very rapidly against Zika, if I'm right, in the past, and now, as you mentioned before, coronaviruses. So is the demand to support the development of tests and therapies for these sorts of diseases increasing?
Yeah, well, clearly right now there is a...
Yes, of course, right now.
Yeah. For rapid and accurate antigen testing for COVID-19 in particular. So we're focused on delivering the tests focused around that as quickly as we can, as early as possible this summer. Longer term, I think there's a strong case to build a degree of pandemic capability, pandemic preparedness capability in the UK. And Avacta's Affimer platform should play an important role in that. As you said, we demonstrated with Zika and another virus with a partner that we could respond very quickly and generate very specific binders to those viral antigens. So in future, so that rapid point of care antigen testing can be developed more quickly, I think, as I say, there's a strong case for building some degree of pandemic preparedness for the country. Outside of those particular, let's call them bio-threat applications, there are many opportunities for Affimer diagnostic tests that answer unmet needs or improve upon existing tests in the market. And in particular, I think that the new and emerging area of consumer-based self-testing is one that holds a great deal of potential for Avacta in the future.
And you mentioned before that you're developing these rapid response antigen tests for COVID-19 in partnership with Cytiva and Adeptrix. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And you've developed and shipped reagents to these partners. So what's the current status with those tests? And how confident are you that these tests will have the high sensitivity and the specificity needed to do mass screening?
Yeah, so you're right. We shipped the Affimas to Cytiva and Adeptrix last Monday on the 11th of May. And we are expecting to see first data later this month or early in June. So in terms of performance, the two tests are slightly different. So the mass screening you refer to is the type of test we're developing with Cytiva. So that's a lateral flow test strip using saliva as the sample, and as you say, designed for mass screening large numbers of people quickly at the point of care, so that those with the infection can be further tested and treated, and those who are healthy can obviously be got back to work safely. So those types of test strips have to have a high degree of sensitivity. That's the key, so there isn't a large number of false negatives. The Adeptrix test is a high-end laboratory test that should have very high specificity and sensitivity and be as good as PCR, if not better, and therefore provide more of that laboratory-based reference test.
And I mean, has this current crisis provided you an unexpected platform to showcase your expertise and indeed your technology?
Yes, of course. I mean, it's not the circumstances we would have wanted, obviously, but we've been able to show, for example, in a matter of a few weeks, that we could generate 50 Affimas against the coronavirus spike protein. Within that, there were some special Affimas that could operate in pairs, which for technical reasons is something that you want to be able to do for diagnostic purposes. And not only that, but within that cohort of Affimas, there were inhibitors of the interaction of the spike protein with the human cell receptors that allow the virus to infect human cells. So it really does show the power of the platform.
And how do you think this is going to affect your company's growth in the longer term?
Well, potentially the COVID-19 testing opportunity, it's totally transformational. The potential size of the market for rapid saliva-based point-of-care testing for the COVID-19 antigen is unquantifiable at the moment, but it's huge. And we've already put in place a partnership with Cytiva to address that, a second partnership with Adeptrix, and we're aiming to put further partnerships in place to develop those Affimas in different forms of diagnostic. So we will have multiple shots on goal with regards commercializing the Affimas that we've produced.
Now, of course, there's another side to this equation that, in this kind of current climate, there's a lot of external pressure on you to developing treatments and testing your technology. So can you give me an idea of what impact that has had on yourself and your team, and how have you guys adapted?
Yes, I have to say the team in Wetherby and the diagnostics unit have been absolutely outstanding. I mean, these have been difficult conditions to work under because of social distancing, which in laboratories is obviously difficult. But they've developed ways of working to keep everyone safe, worked over the weekends and bank holidays to make the sort of rapid progress that I described. They really have been outstanding, and we're now looking at ways to move to a position where we can operate the labs in a more sustainable manner as we get back to normal.
And just finally, there's been a focus recently in amongst all the talk of COVID-19. There's been a concern that some hospital patients will not be receiving cancer treatments. Do you have any opinion on this, or what do you think the overall impact of this will be, and how might that impact Avacta?
Yeah, well, clearly there is a significant demand on hospital resources for the treatment of patients with COVID-19. And clinical trials largely been halted in the UK. We expect them to restart in Q3. So our first clinical program, which we expect to be in the clinic at the back end of this year or early in next year, I think realistically, with the sort of delays that we might expect as clinical trials, get restarted, I suspect it'll be Q1 next year before we dose the first patients. But that's the only delay we expect, not too significant. And everyone is experiencing the sort of challenges with implementing social distancing at work. But all our other programs are continuing. And as I say, we're adapting the ways we work so we can work safely, but continue to make the sort of rapid progress that we have done across both of the business units.
Alastair Smith, CEO of Avacta, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.